inviting all of the TDs here tonight. I think it's important that those of us who are opposed to both the household charge and the property tax, and those who support it, were given the invitation to speak and to outline either their support or their opposition and the reasons behind it. It is disappointing that the other TDs unfortunately didn't show. I'm going to have to check with my secretary tomorrow in the office, because all of these appointments that they got I obviously didn't get. Because the only invitation I had on the diary for tonight was for this meeting. There was no other invitation came for any other meeting in any part of the city, so it'll be interesting to know where they all are. I also want to congratulate the campaign. From the very outset, it's been leading the fight against the household charge and now the property tax, the tax on the family home. I think the campaign were very quick to acknowledge the anger that's out there, being felt by many ordinary citizens. But not only did they acknowledge that anger, they were able to harness it in a very constructive and organised way. And part of that organisation obviously was some of the events which took place in the councils around the state this evening. And it is very sad and unfortunate to hear that there was some tactics used by members of the Gardaí tonight to try and beat and put down ordinary citizens who felt, well, it's not even that they felt they have the right to peacefully protest in institutions like local authorities. And I think it's very regrettable, and I hope it's not something which we're going to see repeated in the near future in other local authorities as the campaign steps up. On a personal level, I haven't paid the household charge. I said from the very outset I wouldn't be paying the household charge, and I still haven't paid it, and I have no intentions of paying it. Now, I also know that as somebody who hasn't paid the household charge and who is now liable for the property tax, the tax on my family home, that €200 is going to be added in to it. But I personally will not be valuing my home. I personally will not be registering any assessment for the property tax. That is a personal decision I've taken. It's an unjust tax, it's a regressive tax. It hits those on low and middle incomes far more than it hits the very politicians who thought up this and who voted this legislation in. And for that reason, I think it's wrong, it's immoral, and it has to be defeated. And I want to wish the campaign every success in all of its activities over the next coming months as we gear up towards the introduction of this tax. I know on our own behalf in Sinn Féin, we have drafted legislation to repeal the property tax, just as we did for the household charge. And just like the legislation we drafted in repealing the household charge and we put before the Dáil and we forced TDs to debate and vote on it, we will again be putting legislation before the Dáil to repeal the property tax. Now, unfortunately, the way the system works of legislation, so we have to wait until the end of May before we can table that legislation, but it is drafted and it is ready to go, and we will be tabling it at the earliest opportunity. And we would hope that members of the campaign, both as collective and also as individuals, put pressure on the very TDs who didn't turn up here tonight to reconsider their own position and to vote in favour of the legislation to scrap the household charge and the property tax.